How we do, folks? Here, boom! Marcus 1205 numbers after the name. Games beating Super Castlevania. Listen, man, this is not a Castlevania channel, even though I think we banged out 4 games beatings in a row of Castlevania. But I want a little bit of a Castlevania kick. You know, I got the collections. I started playing them. I was like, you know what? Let's go through some of these Castlevania games. I never played the Game Boy ones, those second and third ones. Never played those before. And after all that, I got my fix in. I was like, you know what, though, man? If I go back and play some Super Castlevania 4, you know what I'm talking about? So this is one of those games that I wish I'd played when it came out. It's awesome to play, by the way. If you haven't played it yet and you kind of enjoy just the 2D platformer kind of thing, definitely if you played any original NES Castlevanias, do yourself the favor, play this one. It's awesome. But I put myself in. I knew about the game when I was growing up. I didn't have it. I didn't know anybody that had it. Paul could only afford a couple games. I think in total for the Super Nintendo, I had 6 or 7 games throughout the whole lifespan. I think we got it a little bit after it came out. By a little bit after, I mean like 2 or 3 years after it came out. And then we kind of got a couple generations before. And the only really new games I remember getting were like Daikon Country 2 and 3. Because I was a big Daikon Country guy. And I pushed. I was like, I gotta get these games. These are awesome. And it must have maybe timed out with releases around Christmas, if I vaguely remember. Because that was part of the reason. So anyway, I didn't have a lot of games growing up. And Super Castlevania 4 was always one of those that I was like, man, this seems like right up my alley. This seems like really cool stuff. I'd played the original Castlevania on NES like once again, didn't have it, but I was like, interesting. So as I got older, it was one of those games that I kind of kept my eye on. I ended up buying a cartridge. Man, stupid cheap. This was like before people started like collecting like retro games. You could get them for easy. It was at a spot called, I gotta remember. I got Super Metroid and Super Castlevania, I believe, at a spot called Embassy Vinyl I went to college at. And it was like a music store that just happened to sell a couple video games on the side. And it was pretty cool because the games were always kind of cheap because, I don't know, I guess they just didn't care about them. So I got like Super Metro for like $8 and like Super Castlevania for maybe like $10 or something like that. Or they were right around the same price, something along those lines. So I was excited. I was going to play this bad boy. I think I bought it on the Wii as well. Before that, I never played through it. So then I played it back then. And I loved it. But I would have loved to play this back in the Super Nintendo games because to go from the NES games that I played growing up, and I imagine people who played like Atari would feel the same way. To go from something like that and then see this, it's like, whoa. Like this is... And I'm not a big fan of games that have big character sprites. Like I prefer my character sprites to maybe be a little bit on the smaller side. I feel like the hitbox is always kind of a pain in the ass when you got this tall character. But in this game, it just feels really good. And it feels very fluid. It's also not huge by any means. It's just a normal human size, I guess. But obviously bigger than I think like Simon Belmont was in the first couple games. Highly recommend. Plays awesome today. Black Match played awesome then. A lot of cool levels. Soundtrack is spectacular. Spectacular. I can't tell you how good the music is. I would sometimes, it was fortunately the timer, right? Yeah, fortunately it's a timer, but I would sometimes just let the music ride a little bit just to hear it out and be like, yo, this is banging, man. So to me, it's the quintessential way of grabbing a NES title that was awesome and giving it that 16-bit upgrade, right? If you want to tell somebody what the Super Nintendo is about, you show them what the original Castlevania was, you show them what Castlevania 2 looked like, you show them what Castlevania 3 looks like, and then you show them what Castlevania 4 looks like, what Super Castlevania looks like. And then you're like, oh yeah, I can see where the bits are working. I can see where that happens. The one game that I haven't played, I've played a little bit, I haven't gone through is Rondo of Blood. I believe that's the Genesis one. Gotta get to it at some point.